Yeah, yeah. Hello and welcome to my very first podcast. My name is Jordan King and I'm in microbiology as well as you guys. Awesome. Yay. Alright, so like I said, the microbe of the day is Pseudomonas AnguilliSeptica. Okay? Okay. Pseudo is false, as well as anguilli is another word for eel, and septica is sepsis. It's basically of diseased eels, which is done with fishes and stuff like that too. It was discovered in 1972 from an outbreak from a Japanese pond culture. So it was like an eel farm. It affects eels, brackish fish. An example would be like salmon and stuff like that. It's a red spot disease. Like it causes like lesions and bleeding, and it's like bleeding from the fish. And like we eat fish all the time, and so do these third world countries. So that's not good for them either. It was discovered by a man named Wabakashi. I like his name. It's pretty cool. Also, it's a worldwide problem for fish farming. You know, we eat tilapia, we eat, catfish, swordfish, other fishes too. Eels. I'm pretty sure people eat eels. Positive they eat eels, but it affects eels too. On from the microbe of the day. All right, on to Migrating Modifies microbiota. We have microbes in our stomach. We do know that. It helps us process our food. It helps us, whether we're affected by chronic diseases, just like diseases in general, infections, things like that. They're in our stomach so that we don't really get sick. Gut microbes affect our diet, the health of our bodies, infections, it also comes from interactions with pets and animals, like how we like to hug our dogs and stuff, like stuff from them can mess with our gut microbes. It's like the dirt on our food, whether we farm, some people like to, when they farm carrots, they can just like pull it up out the ground, like eat it. So there's that too. And it also messes with our health and hygiene. In less developed countries, they have major diversities in their gut microbes versus like the US, which is like very simplified. And even rural, like versus like urban, like the differences in the places, like you can be in like a society that's like super clean and more developed because you have more access to medicine and stuff like that that'll help your gut microbes, but like once it simplifies, it's like it causes more complications. This is a theory, that they think it's a theory that affects chronic diseases, like I said before, cardiovascular, obesity, and diabetes. It's pretty bad. They're not sure that they're connected though, but they did do an experiment, which I'm going to explain to you next. There was an investigation happening with Southeast Asians moving to the US, and it was affecting their gut microbes. They were having problems with obesity, like things that they wouldn't normally deal with in their country, their third world country that is more underdeveloped than the US, which would explain why the US is like obesity rate and diabetic rate and like problems with the heart. The rates are like really high here versus a third world country too. They noticed that once these men and women or these immigrants moved here to the US, the obesity rate for them went up 4 times. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times. Is really saying something. And it was like among refugees as well. they did an experiment on 514 women of an Asian group. It was really like between the Hmong and the Karen women that lived in Thailand, or they moved to the U.S., or they were first generation immigrants to the U.S. The test and control group were against European American women. And during that time, they tested their gut microbes, they tested their health, they tested their diets, their body shape, they tested all that stuff. And they noticed that the European women, although yes, like the women from Thailand and stuff like that, like immigrants, like their obesity rate went up, but it was very distinct that for the European women, the obesity increased in them too. In the Asians, they had distinct gut microbes, and they noticed that, you know, their gut microbes, like before they came here, it was like more complex. They had certain microbes in their body that was, you know, there from the certain things that they eat over there. We'll get into that in a second. They noticed that those women from Thailand coming to the U.S., that, you know, it's simplified, and you would think that would be good. You would think it would be good for them because, you know, they're coming from a country that's not developed. They farm for themselves and they eat what they farm. So, you know, it being underdeveloped, they don't have certain like things to sterilize and like things to make sure that their food is clean. They don't have things like to help them with their health, like certain things that the U.S. has, like that's like bomb, but they don't have that. And their microbes in their stomachs simplified after migrating here. And another thing that they noticed was that after moving from Thailand to here, they noticed that the rate of how fast that their gut microbes were simplifying was significantly fast. It happened 6 to 9 months after moving here. And that's really saying something that, you know, maybe it was something in their diet. Maybe there was dirt that they had on their food. You never know. All I do know is that the rate of it simplifying was very significant. Certain microbes they lost a lot of microbes too, especially this one called Faecalibacterium pronistia. Don't call me on it. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. I tried to say it exactly how I heard it the first time. And it's with the Prevotella group, and they were replaced with Bacteroides. It's kind of crazy to me. To me, it's kind of crazy. Also, you know, like things that they ate. Let's get on that for a second. They ate certain things, and they noticed how much of it was, they noticed how much of it was like gone. They observed a lot of changes. After a while, more microbial enzymes were breaking down. Like they were using more microbes to break down sugar, like sucrose. It's not good because, you know, sugar is like the leading, your body, you know, with diabetes, you know, that's the leading cause of like diabetics, like the sugar in your body from like carbohydrates and stuff like that. Speaking from experience, you know, your body doesn't have the insulin to break down the sugar. And in this one, they noticed that more microbial enzymes were breaking down sugar. That's a cause of I believe that's a cause of, you know, diabetes. Like that's like a pathway to it. They have fewer microbial enzymes to break down plants and their fiber and digesting polysaccharides. So they were losing enzymes that they were found in foods that they were not consuming anymore. Like, you know, in Thailand or just like in Asian culture altogether, they eat stuff like coconut, tamarind. They eat things that, you know, that they believe will help their body, which is not necessarily wrong because the microbes on the food that they eat, it helps their body. And like them moving here, they didn't have access to that food anymore. So it's like a transfer of bad. So them leaving what they know and coming here to things that they don't know, they're eating things and it's not helping their body necessarily. That's why their gut microbes went from like really complex to like really simple. We also have like a food they call cognac. It grows underground and it's like a big fat thing kind of that stores energy. Eating stuff like that, like the same thing that the food does, it'll help you with your body. Imagine that their food helped with their gut microbes, kept them away from certain health problems, but were replaced because they weren't eating these as much. So, because you're not eating it anymore, like your body can't support something if you're not feeding it what it needs. So now these microbes are gone from your stomach and now they're becoming like more simplified because now you're eating things here in the US versus what you were eating in Thailand or like what you're used to. And it's just not doing the same thing anymore. The control group ate more. They ate more rice. Oh no, I'm sorry, excuse me. They ate less rice. But the microbes of the immigrants, it showed to be the same thing, really. Which now they know, like, it's crazy. It affects you in ways that we don't understand. And they noticed that immigrating to the US from Thailand, their gut microbes become less complicated. So then their microbes are, it causes us to gain weight and stuff like that. Our gut microbiota can also be affected by a lot. It's not really certain on what affects it. It can cause for like temperature change, climate change, that way changing our diet, the change in our exercise, the change in our sleep. It could be anything that causes it. It's just not one thing that causes the change in our microbes, but understand that it can cause for a lot of chronic health issues when your gut microbes change. So when you're losing your microbiota, they're not exactly sure what causes that problem, but they do understand that there are a lot of factors to it. And that's all I have for you today. My name is Jordan King, and that's my podcast about Migrating Modifies Microbiota.